Alright, so I guess I'll quickly set up the third game. We might as well just jump right into it since we're playing in a bit of overtime. So I guess we'll just go create custom. Intech round 5, game 3. And we'll go tournament draft. And I believe it is Warped versus... Alright, we might as well get started straight away. And I believe both teams know exactly which sides they are, but I'll just check myself. And I guess we'll play a bit of background music while we're at it. So you can hear my soothing voice while we sort this out. But we are running into overtime, and we're going to see if both teams can make a statement to close this game out in quick fashion, because I wouldn't mind a bit of a sleep, but then again I want a competitive and fun game just like the last one. Alright, so I'm going to mute myself for a few minutes and then we're going to get this one started. Alright, so we got the winning captain of the last game in, Blade Exo, to castle me for the third game. How's it going, Blade?
Not too bad, always happy to get another win under the belt. Officially 50% win rate. You and me together, Chris. You got a win today as well.
Yeah, no, that would make me 3-1, I think, because I was 2-1.
That's your team, mate. You have played 2 games.
Me. Yeah. Me specifically. I understand now. I understand the context, 50-50.
50% brothers together here on the cast. So.
Yeah, and I'm sure that'll improve to 66 and then 75 and then onwards from there. But straight into draft here, and I guess I'll slowly wind down the music. And no, actually what we'll do is keep the music on this side. We'll go from there, and then I'll get rid of it as soon as the game starts. But yeah, what are your thoughts on both of these teams, ADA versus Warped? I'm guessing Warped's sitting on the top at the moment, Blade.
Yeah, so Warped, I don't think need an introduction at this point. I think they're the team to beat with how they've been performing with this pretty before seen style. It's not the way to put it, but I'll put it that way anyway. Yeah, Nita Mama coming out in the jungle, absolutely just dominating, showing just how impressive the role can be, especially when your team plays around you with the support. Picking these more supportive picks in the mid lane, these tank picks, but they can get Pyro, they can follow him around, and beautiful Dwang as well. Constantly playing around his jungle as a support, setting him up, and it's an absolute nightmare when he's on a champion like Midley, which they've left open here. So curious to see what he goes towards. What do you reckon, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit early to tell, I would say, being the newest member on his team. And Need Your Mum probably, we got to say it right now, probably is the best jungler at the moment because they're at the top of the ladder. But it is quite the matchup. I believe both are similarly ranked in solo queue, around that high diamond to master elo. So it's going to be probably the matchup to watch. But do you think Warp's gameplay or style is a bit polarizing when they just have a bunch of support / tank / bruisers surrounding their one carry? And I guess Kaidas as their 80 carry is able to dish it out, but they're finally showing something a bit different with the Seraphine locked in.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting draft so far. I thought, Nidley might get gobbled up with Galio there. Nice setup for the spear, and then I'm sure they can lock CC in the other lanes. But going towards the Seraphine, yeah, I think that's mainly the one part. I think their top side is pretty locked down on what they love to play, but their bot side is still sort of finding themselves. A beautiful Dwang is finding himself on the engaged supports. He's also hopping over to the Enchanted a lot, but he hasn't really found out what's working best with the team. I feel like he's not synergizing well with his ADC. At times, he's synergizing well with his jungle. But
Hmm.
Seraphine pick here, we'll see how that performs. That could definitely be going towards the mid lane, and Gale could be going bot. There's definitely still some flexibility in the draft, especially with Zara too. Like Zara can go support, which I love to see out of teams. So they're keeping things somewhat flexible, but looks like Ashe Seraphine is going to be the pick, and that's a
Yep.
bit of a classic combo. Ashe landing the slow, which means Seraphine will get a root on her E, and set up for the CC chain to follow.
Yes, indeed. And we do have Tristana being locked in and a Yasuo of all things. So we can actually see that Yasuo being flexed to the bot lane to deal with that Seraphine and Ashe. But yeah, he does have an AoE knock up with the Zara. So Yasuo being the first time locked in, I believe, in this tournament. I don't think I've seen it yet. Have you? I can't remember.
Nah, don't believe so, but I did actually catch a flex cute game between these two teams where Furan was practicing it in the bot lane, so wouldn't surprise me if that's a pick here. He had an Ivan support that game. I don't know if we're going to see that one. I hope not, honestly, because it didn't
Oh,
look like it
yeah.
was the best champion with good old Yasuo, but I'm sure they're going to pull out another champion here to synergize well with him if it does go to the bot lane, but may as well go towards that mid. Tristana mid's more meta at this point, but there's no reason that Tristana can't be on bot here as well as Yasuo. Things are still definitely pretty flexible on ADS's side here, which is good for them, and hopefully they can draft it well accordingly with the rest. But they do have blue side here. I think Niedermama is probably going to pick up his jungle here, and then they're going to save counter pick for top, which is going to put Button Nash in a blind pick situation. So
Ooh.
we'll see what he's got up his sleeve there.
Yeah, and I know what ADA are trying to run because we did scrim them earlier, but we're going to see how that actually comes to fruition. So we're actually going to see another Galio game come out from the support in the mid lane. I believe it's the first time he's able to pick it up since the first round, I believe. But we have a Kha'Zix locked in here, Blade, for the first time. Solo Q jungler enters the rift.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely seen some professional play. He's not the most meta, but when you're playing into pretty squishy champions like this, you're pretty much dreaming if you get a lead on this champion and you start selfing in Q auto one-shotting everyone. It's very impressive to deal with. I can see why a carry jungler like Niedermama is wanting to pick this up, looking to run away with the game, but we'll see what they can pick now to dissuade the Kha'Zix. Nocturne already a decent pick there, being able to block a Q with your spell shield. If you get that off, that helps you so much in the duel.
Oh.
But looks like we're going for the volley bear top lane.
Yeah, I guess Nash was definitely talking about this, hyping up his volley bear earlier in the week, and now he's going to pull it out against whoever it's going to be in the top lane. And a couple of meta picks being hovered here, not so much Nunu, but Cassante being hovered definitely can pretty much hold his lane against anyone in the top lane, probably except for Renekton. Renekton does win that early on, but Cassante is in a slightly nerfed state, but is still very strong and able to pretty much land all the Q1, Q2, Q3 and all his spells in rotation as quick as possible. So what are your thoughts on Cassante as a top lane champion? Still very meta?
Yeah, definitely got a spot, and into particularly teams that don't deal with him well, like they don't have much damage to deal with this crazy tank. Like if Tristana happens to fall behind Yasuo, I feel like just gets run over by Cassante, it's going to be very, very difficult to kill this champion, especially if he gets a lead. But we'll see how the lane goes, because I feel like Volibear should have an edge. Cassante isn't really known for his laning phase, and Volibear definitely can run away using his pretty unfair trade pattern. You know, you drop the shield on their head, you Q stun them, you drop your W's on them, and you rinse and repeat basically to their dead. Even under tower, once you get the ult unlock, it's pretty impressive stuff. While Cassante is trying to get some gold and scale up to where he wants to be in those team fights, Volibear can definitely make something happen. So definitely excited to see how Button Nash is on this pick and how practices he, because he's going to be going against Jonu, which is one of the better top laners in the tournament for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely shown he can play a lot of champions, which is really good to have in the top lane. He's able to pretty much play whatever his team asks him to, so that's definitely very flexible for the side of Warped and showing why they're the top team at the moment. But in terms of these drafts, I feel like it could go either way depending on how impactful both of these junglers are. Nocturne slightly having the advantage over Kha'Zix, but Kha'Zix can pretty much isolate anyone if he's given the opportunity. Who do you reckon's one draft here? I think it's probably going to go towards Warped, in my opinion.
Yeah, Warp just looks like such a balanced team composition. You've got so much CC to play around. You've got plenty of pick potential. You've got playmaking in the Kazakhs, and yeah, it's just if you get to a 5v5 versus this team, it's just so solid. Seraphine's buffing your whole team. Galio's protecting. Kasante can do whatever the hell he wants if he's got some items under his belt, just run through the whole team. But I think it's all about the laning phase. We saw even if draft goes super well your way, you can have a game like yours where Alt F4 just absolutely stomp the laning phase, and we don't even get to see how drafts come to fruition at the games like that, where you just lose in the laning phase here. So we've got to see whether they can pilot these champions. They've busted a couple new ones out, like the Seraphine, and we've got Tristana into Galio, which is pretty traditionally good for the Tristana. Obviously, Galio loving the magic resist is going to have to go towards some of those armor items just to make sure this Tristana's not knocking him over. And even if Galio manages to get a roam off, Tristana's pretty good at just trading off tower plates as long as your team's able to stop the bleeding. So yeah, there's definitely some good matchups on the side of ADA, but I'm just interested in the Yasuo Zara, honestly. How's that going to look?
Yeah, I know Foreign's a very good Yasuo player, and he got a bit of PTSD when he took us on a scrim when I played Renekton and didn't give him a chance to breathe, so he definitely banned that out straight away. But yeah, he is definitely a very good Yasuo player if he's able to get the leads and the fights that he wants, and it's going to be a bit tough to get that into the Seraphine and this Ashe. I feel like Nocturne's going to be very pivotal in turning out the lights and being able to set up his team for success, but we're going to see how that actually goes. And I guess I'll do a little shout out to my boys in Old F4, and we were able to play our cleanest game yet today, and I was finally able to win a game in this competition, but I just feel like it's just one of those things where Destiny just decided to fall over and they just couldn't do much against our fighting and our shot calling and whatnot. But we're going to load into game here just about, so I got to quickly switch this through. And I'm hoping client doesn't crash, because right now I'm trying to remove or clear up space in the cache currently in the computer, because it's running down to even less than 100 megabytes. So I'm constantly trying to clean it out so the computer doesn't crash randomly. So it's going to be very tough to deal with throughout the game, but I'm trying to make it work.
All the VODs getting recorded and all that stuff on this PC, support PC, going through so much. It's definitely done us some good. Yeah, hopefully we'll make it through this game.
Yeah, I'm hoping so as well. So yeah, it's a bit of a tough ask trying to do it, because I can't do it without deleting some Windows processes and stuff like that on the back end, but I'm going to see how that actually goes. But yeah, a little team beef, Moldog, that's for sure. Yeah, a couple of my boys from Old F4 and Destiny just talking a little bit at the moment, but we'll just leave it at that. But we are going to load into game here, trying to make sure this doesn't crash. But right now, once I do that, I'll just quickly mention our major sponsors here. Tangled Adventures, The Array, Paul's Ice Coffee, and Next Tier Studios, and the minor sponsors will be played at the end of the game. And hopefully that brings us into the game.
Welcome
no, it doesn't.
Alright,
I'm going to try and fix that.
"30 seconds until minions spawn."
Okay, doesn't want to show you. Alright, we have a bit of an early invade, but finally the video came through. That's what I mean by the graphics card. It has to bring video or data through, and then it'll either crash the computer or it won't. So I'll have to fix that in this game. But we do have, Foreign Burning Flash. Pretty big summoner to lose early on, but I guess Seraphine Ashe is not that much to worry about in the early laning phase, unless Kazakhs decides to go to the bot lane. I'm going to free up a bit more data while I guess you can shout Kaz for a little bit.
Yep, I think so we'll be able to weather the storm there with the passive and the fleet footwork. It's pretty hard to knock them out of laning phase, especially with the Door and Shield on top. Resolves through secondary. Yeah, these gems are pretty hard to knock out of the laning phase, even with a poke heavy comp like Ashe and Seraphine. But I'm very interested in the junglers and how they're going to perform. We haven't really touched much on Junior Burgers yet. He is the new addition to ADA. He did debut last week, I believe. Didn't have an amazing game, but he's looking to have his redemption, definitely be put in the conversation for best jungler in the league, I imagine, with a player of his pedigree, reaching pretty high ranks before. So definitely we'll see how he can bring it with one of the proven junglers of Nidomama here. It's definitely one of the game. If you want to prove yourself, this is the one to do it. So I'm looking to see what he's going to bring to the table on this Nocturne, because definitely lots of playmaking potential there. And if he places his ganks and his ults right, he could definitely be putting his team in the winning position. Yeah, but Nash is giving a bit of prio here. You see Jonu with the level 2, just poking him out. It's not normally how the Volibear matchup goes, but it looks like he's found a way to do it here. But I'm sure But Nash can weather the storm. He can make the comeback happen. Once he gets all 3 skills on this Volibear, that's when the fun begins, really, for this lane. So, gonna keep an eye out for that one and see whether he can bring it to Jonu, who is also one of the proven top laners. Has shown his champion pool is pretty wide here as well, playing stuff like the Gwen against us, playing the Cassante now, playing stuff like Rumble in the past. He's got it all, it seems, on lock here, and definitely is able to pick whatever his team requires. But already we're seeing some early game shenanigans. You know these junglers want to fight each other, and we got lots of champions in the mix. Looks like it's going to be favorable for Warp just because Cassante got that top lane push. Nash has to deal with the wave, but he's on his way now. And look at the bodyguards absolutely escorting, but the support goes in here. He's gone a little bit too far forward. They're going to look to turn it around on him. Tristana dumping some damage, but Nash isn't quite here yet. They're taking a 2v3, and they're taking it all the way. They jump in, they find first blood onto Junior Burgers, and then now Nash is here, but it's too little too late for them. And this is what happens when you challenge this team. They're so well practiced together that even when the support goes in a little bit preemptively, they're able to recover it back, play super well, find the flash engages, find the kills, and they are already 2 kills up in this game.
Yeah, that was a bit scuffed coming out, but Nash was not able to get there in time. Jonu was already there 30 seconds prior, and like you said, Blade, it's just to have a big early leader like this. I mean, it went on Cassante of all things, but yeah, the quicker he gets to scale, the more havoc he will actually do in that mid game. So yeah, nevertheless, still 2 kills going on the side of Warped, and showing us why they play around their jungler so efficiently.
Yeah. Bit curious, not taking Ghost on Cassante. Normally he's a bit of a teamfight monster if he's able to just grab that Ghost and he's able to sprint around, like channeling all his 50 dashes and going through walls left, right and center. That is normally what they pick up in the pro play, but definitely Cassante, I think his weakest point in the game is laning phase. If he able to remove that, this champion is still just as crazy as it was before. A little bit of damage reduction lost, but he's still, if you get the items in his pocket, you get that Iceborne online, he's just going to run train over a team like this, especially with Tristana falling a little bit behind, and Yasuo is just not sort of, he plays a little bit more like an assassin than an actual DPS here, so we'll see. We got to have someone be able to deal with this Cassante. If he gets a big lead like this, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare, I imagine, once the team fights come, but still plenty of laning phase left to go. We'll see whether they can make a recovery happen.
Yeah, and it's going to be a bit tough for But Nash to get back in the game, because Johnny just decided to rush Armor Boots straight away. So he's able just to negate any sort of early game advantage he would have with PTA on the Volibear, because it can be quite annoying to deal with, but he's able to pretty much suffer at the moment because he can't get this crash in, and Volibear's really struggling to make it work, and Johnny's punishing him for it. So right now he's just stuck on a bit of gold trying to get this to crash, and yeah, a bit of a big lead coming out in the top lane already.
Yeah, it's really rough for him. Even if he somehow clears the minions, there's no problem for Johnny to just sit there tanking them and just holding the freeze as long as he can and just really denying Nash from playing the game here. But that is just the repercussions of the early game, you know? It's one small mistake and you might have your laning phase ended just like that into a good play. And Johnny's proven that he's just that, and he's got the skills to, you know, turn one small mistake into an absolute canyon here. And it's starting to rear its head with the CS lead. Certainly it's basically majority of what's going on in the gold lead here, with Jonu sitting on 2.5k gold now and Nash is sitting on 1.3, almost doubling his gold already at this point in the game, and it's probably going to get worse unless this freeze breaks, but looks like we got some action towards these grubs.
Yeah, we do, and we have Foreign deciding to dash in, but it's going to auto-correct itself straight into the grub pit, and he was able to spell shield that in time, but immediately gets flashed on Easy Doctor. Is not level 6 to able to punish that Kha'Zix to push him away. And Easy Doctor, he's just gonna pretty much walk himself out there. And unfortunately, Junior Burgers is the customer and recipient of that disadvantage. Level 6 to level 4 right now. This is a bit of a jungle and top canyon at the moment. It's just, yeah, they play around their jungle so
Oh,
well.
we're looking for plays on the bot side. Amazing flash snare from Laboon, and Foran's going to look to follow this one up. Gets the exhaust. You're not going anywhere, Keytris, as he's trying to run him down. But here we go, though. The chase is on. Ash is doing her best with the ghost, but he does finally go down. 2 for Foran there, and they find a nice 2v2 kill. So there is some hope. There is some signs of life coming out of ADA, but as you mentioned, top jungle is an absolute cannon. I think that's the first time I've seen a jungle that's level 6 against a level 4 jungle at the Grubs,
and he's got
Junior Burgers, tried to take the fight even.
Yeah, and he just needs to, he wants his team to back him up with the pressure, but Easy Doctor not communicating through. He's level 5, and Button Nash in no man's land, and yeah, right now he's even behind, I would say, half a level on XP or even more. It's going to slowly build up as the game goes on, and there you go, he hits level 7. And even if with this wave crashes in and the next wave, I don't think Button Nash is going to hit level 7 either, so definitely an XP and gold advantage and mini advantage coming through Jono here, and that's proccing PTA, and it did absolutely nothing to Jono's health bar, so definitely a rough point in the game for Button Nash, and unfortunately Jono's going to freeze on him again.
Yeah, most likely, but Jonu's sitting on a lot of gold too. Like this is the point where Button Nash would probably be the most even with him. The moment he presses the B button, he spends his gold. It's probably just going to be so much worse for him here in this lane. But Johnny knows he's in full control, has his teleport, is so much stronger than his opponent. He's calling the shots this game, and yeah, honestly, it's just a bit painful to look at it. Button Nash, you know, you hate to see it happen to your boy, but he's not got much of a chance in this lane. But
yeah, and
on the other hand, definitely some chances elsewhere.
Yep, and Yasuo, or foreign piloting Yasuo, is able to keep up in the gold department and has a kill to his name, so jungle should be trying to play through him as much as possible. Unfortunately, Button Nash will have to basically sit on the side lane and play weak side for probably the rest of the game, to be honest, and you know, try to make meaningful TPs to disable turrets and try to take advantage of this bot lane while they're still trying to scale on the Ashe and Seraphine here. Laboon definitely playing the support this time around. He did play AD carry last game, if I recall, last round, but they made that switch up, and yeah, Foreign's back into the AD carry position, or we did scrim them when they tried to test that. Didn't quite work out, but yeah, if anyone's going to bring him back, it's definitely going to be the scaling coming out of Tristana and Yasuo trying to out team fight probably this really polarizing composition coming out of Warp, because they have a lot of taunts, a lot of CC, and a lot of slows. It's going to be definitely tough for this Yasuo to pilot.
Yeah, he's definitely not got a lot of knockups to play around either. Tristana has not on her ult, but it's a bit small, and of course the Zyra one takes a little bit to go off, so it's not that big engage button that you're hoping for, but I'm sure they'll find a way to get it going here, because they're pretty much counting on it to have a chance at this game. You got to have this Yasuo find a way to get this backline knock up or something, because if it's just a front to back with the Yasuo, he's just getting taunted, he's getting tossed around by Seraphine and his Casante CC. It's probably not a fun time for him, but they also just have the option to just like try split the map here, but even then, we've got a Galio mid. It's pretty easy for Warp to deal with that sort of setup too, and with a Kha'Zix that's just ahead, I wouldn't want to be caught side laning as a Yasuo for sure.
Yeah, and they're still trying to force the envelope here in the bot lane, but unfortunately, nothing's really going to happen. We do have Kha'Zix looking towards this Volibear. The Volibear should be able to ult out and keep himself safe, so unless he's really super high in the lane, I don't think he'll be in any sort of danger. And we do have your mum backing off and going back to farming, but he has taken Dark Harvest, and yeah, he's definitely trying to stack that up nicely throughout the game, but I'm surprised that Easy Doctor doesn't have much more of a lead in this mid lane matchup. I guess the support playing on his main is able to keep up with this Tristana in terms of the CS department in the mid lane, Blade.
Yeah, definitely. He's proven that even when he plays these tank picks, he's super good at just holding it down in the lane, and it's not just going to give you free leads even in positive matchups. When you counter pick his tank, he's still pretty well practiced on these picks, and he's just the cornerstone his team needs. Just hold down the mid lane, play around his jungle, and just bring out the value of these utility mid laners. And yeah, it's just such a pivotal part for their roster. Even though he's not doing anything flashy, it just goes to show, you know, you play your position well, it can be night and day difference between some of your opponents who are just, you know, very good at their champion, but it doesn't quite fit the team composition, stuff like that. The support definitely has his role, but looks like we're getting some stuff going. We forced the a recall on the bot lane is here for the side of Warped, and they're having Junior Burgers hover, looking maybe for an angle there, but even their bot lane, they know to play weak side, they just reset, not risking anything. And, oh, we don't want to look what's happening. Oh.
Well, no, he ults out. Okay, that's fine. All right, back to bot lane, and unfortunately, he does pick up a kill on Takeda's. Laboon picks that one up, unfortunately, and they're able to get an ult out of Nocturne, but Seraphine is going away from that completely. And Foreign's going to pick up probably a lot of crucial plates coming in. And we do have a kill coming through. Unfortunately, it wasn't to click in time. And he gets blown up by the Kha'Zix with Dark Harvest. So the Kha'Zix starting to come online with the Yomu's Ghostblade blade. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was praising them for playing well weak side. They go ahead and die bot lane, but that's whatever. They traded just as much onto the top side, if not more. And this Cassante is absolutely huge. Need a Mama coming in mid, finding the flash on Easy Doctor, not unfortunately finding the kill because that was a beautiful flash ult from Easy Doctor to stay alive here, but he's doing just that. He's not able to find a huge lead for his team, and right now I think we need heroes on this team composition. Foran and Laboon are doing their best job in the bot lane, but we got to have something else come out of Junior Burgers, Easy Doctor. I think Nash, that ship has failed. He's just got to hold down and, you know, try and mitigate the losses, but yeah, certainly we've got to have some other things come out from these other members, because I think Warped are in the driving seat still, and, you know, they're just looking to play their textbook style of just rotate around the map, get the objectives, play together as 5 really well, and they're so good at executing that. We'll see if they can throw a spanner in the works to disrupt any of that and catch them off guard.
Yeah, and it's, yeah, like you said in the chat, Frog Swatter, definitely more than 50 CS now. Jono is showing us why he's one of the better top laners in the tournament, and it just shows how much one mistake can lead to a lane. So yeah, definitely being punished to the fullest extent here by Jono, but he's going to rotate to this dragon to make sure they get it uncontested here, clearing out all the vision, and I feel like they're starting to suffocate ADA slowly but surely. But I'm gonna wonder how many auto attacks it's going to take to get through this this Cassante blade. It's gonna take quite a few coming out of all the AD champions, that's for sure.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the damage profile. I was hoping Volibear was gonna go for the Roa Nevori build, where, you know, you squeeze in a little bit of AP into that build, so he can't just be too negligent with his build here. But even then, it's probably the smart thing to just go full armor like he is. The only real worrisome target is the support Zarya, who isn't gonna have that much gold to deal with you at this point in the game, and believe me, he is just going to run anywhere he pleases against this team. Now look at them absolutely tickling him in the 2v1, and it looks like he can turn this around with his team showing up.
Oh no, Easy Doctor is able to buffer that quite nicely. They're definitely trying to hunt down Burgers here, and Nocturne gets absolutely destroyed by the Kha'Zix in the jungle, with another Dark Harvest stack coming his way. So definitely the rune paying off for him, that's for sure. He's definitely going to be really exciting to watch in an isolated fight. Probably going to blow up anyone on 88 at this point, except for probably Button Nash once he stacks a bit more armor. But yeah, lane is going back to their respective lanes, and Nash was able to get a bit more CS and a bit of damage in the top lane turret, so he's able to get something back. But right now it's just full steam ahead for Warped here, and they have full control of the game, and let's hope ADA is able to come together and fight for an objective and start scaling a bit more safely so they can take a meaningful team fight play. It's very rough for them at the moment.
Yeah, and it's very difficult at this point, because anytime you do press the go button on a fight, it's probably, you have about the duration of Nocturne ultimate before Cassante's TPing in, and you're gonna have to deal with that here. So even if you try and make an isolated play, you try and find a pick with this ultimate, they're going to be looking to TP on you right back with this double teleport setup, and the counter engage just looks absolutely nightmarish if the Cassante finds a TP flank, or Galio's ulting in to, you know, turn the engage around. It's just very difficult, and like I said, it's just pretty much they've gotten the end until Nocturne ult to pull that trigger and get things done. If not, then I feel like they can turn the fight on its head so easily. So ADA, you're not going to get many opportunities this game, but you better definitely make it count once you do, because yeah, it's a tough position to be in. You're not out yet, but it's slowly creeping away with you with how clean Warped are playing.
Yep, and they've got to just make sure they have a numbers advantage whenever they try to do something on the side of the map. If it's tower diving with Volibear, Nocturne, and you know, just try to make something happen on the map. And we do have a big rift fight coming up here, and we're going to see if ADA have the composure to leave it alone, because if they decide to fight this, it might get pretty dangerous for them, because they're completely out of position here, because Team Warped are completely around this rift.
Yep. Doesn't even look like they can do much anything if they try walk in. You know, the bodyguards will stand in your way. What are you going to do about this Sunfire Galio and this almost 2-item Cassante at this point? Laboon fancies a little bit of a chance there, but yeah, it's just very scary for anyone who wants to walk up. And you know, their frontliner should have been Nash, but he's just too far behind. They don't really have an effective frontliner at this point. Nocturne's just going to get blown up instantly by this composition. And yeah, they're seeing the plays happening, and they're just not able to do much about it. I think they're doing the smart thing, putting Easy Doctor bot, at least getting some gold back on your Tristana to trade something for that objective, but it's not enough to, you know, make up for the Herald. I feel like we haven't dropped it on the map yet, but the moment that they do, they're probably going to be knocking down one of these towers.
Yeah, and they're going to start accelerating the game, probably when they drop this rift, either in the bot lane to, you know, get an early Baron, potentially early, or crack mid so they get more map control. We're going to see how Warp are going to pilot this, because right now they're trying to get their Ashe to at least get an item, so they're able to, you know, at least have Ashe piloting these fights on first core item, because it is a bit scary against the Yasuo, who has Blade of the Ruin King. Can slowly whittle down these tanks, but these tanks are pretty thick at the moment, so you'll probably need another item or two before it becomes even relevant to do anything, because he's probably just going to get absolutely focused in these fights. And like you said, ADA playing a bit more patiently here. Don't want to give away the game completely, but I'd say right now they're playing patient. Probably got to give up another dragon, try to get items up so they're able to at least take a more meaningful team fight and not make a crucial mistake and snowball the game out of their control.
Yeah, it's definitely not many opportunities left, but I feel like, you know, you can't just sit by. We got to do something at some point. Might not be this next dragon, but definitely can't give the soul over. They're put on a timer in this game. Looks like they're posturing somewhat for this. Nash has the teleport, but again, they're just right onto it. Warp wasting no time at all, putting the pink ward down in the pit. It's no difficult to do anything. Junior Burger's hovering this play. He might go for a steal, but that's the best they can hope for. I didn't realize this, but looks like they got rifts on ADA.
They must have stolen it, but yeah, lights out here. Unfortunately, they're forcing it. It's a pretty big engage here. Unfortunately, they're able to pile it up. Foreign's able to get to the backline. This is absolutely monstrous coming out from ADA here, and Foreign absolutely explodes. A big combo coming out from Laboon and Zyra, and corresponding ultimate not in time from beautiful Dwayne to stop that engage. But wow, okay, I guess ADA are back in it.
That's how you do it. Yeah, that's just how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. I was thinking about a Rift Herald, and then all of a sudden ADA are putting the team fight on its head here. Just absolutely find a massive wombo combo, and off the back of Laboon on that Zyra pick, finding 4 champions in his ultimate. Absolute Giga Chad here on the Zyra, sending it and finding the whole of Warps in that choke point. Certainly not what they expected, and they got punished so hard for that. But caveat is they still got the dragon at the end of the day, but out of nowhere, we're looking at a gold lead for AD Astra.
Yeah, and that's definitely being in my top place for sure. Let's get some Laboons in the chat. He definitely made that happen for his team, and yeah, that's what happens when the lights are out. And I think Warp definitely got a bit too comfortable there, and then when the lights came back on, the fight was over. Just like that. It was, yeah, I gotta say, Nocturne definitely finally paid off at the 20-minute mark. It's just, it's good to see ADA pull the trigger there, recognizing that they had a chance to make that happen. And I guess the Leandries and the AP coming out from Laboon, those damage numbers definitely crept up on him.
Yeah, you got to give credit where credit's due. That was off the back of Junior Burger's engage 2. He ulted in, found a 4-man Strybreaker, but trading back Foreign, doing his best to outplay. He finds a way out of the wall, but it's not enough. Niedermeyer picks him up. Big shutdown going over, and now Laboon is finding a 5-man ultimate knockup, but again, the carry is down, and there's just nothing to help them pick up the pieces here, and they're just rolling over with this double tank frontline. We see when it is coordinated, when Warp get a fight they want, it is so hard to deal with them, and that is a huge setup from beautiful Duang, finding the 2-man snare into the ult, and they pick up Easy Doctor, and but Nash is lucky to be alive there on the volley bear, getting out on the sliver, but that is more than enough to swing the gold lead right back into their laps.
Yeah, and I think Warp just took a sip of their drink and decided to go, you know what, let's take control of this game once again, and that's what they exactly did. They saw Foreign slightly overextended, and they absolutely collapsed on him. Foreign nearly got out there on the Yasuo, but was just locked down by Jonu and the support, able to get to him just in time. And yeah, beautiful Dwang with a clutch Seraphine ultimate, following up on Jonu's setup on the Tristana, and now they're going to be posturing for getting vision control, looking for a reset, and probably going to look for the soul here. So ADA definitely a lot of life in them, but I think they have to really take this mid lane turret so they get a bit more map control, which they're going to do right now.
Yep, they get something back for their troubles, but not enough to make up what they lost here, and they're still put in a very difficult situation with Soul Point coming up here. They've got to definitely win these fights, but we see if it's just a straight up 5v5, no funny business with the wombo combo. It's just not even close. Foran played so well, I feel like, to buy as much time as he did for the position he was in, but just wasn't enough, and they find the Yasuo and there's nothing left for the team comp. We see Laboon landing a 5-man ultimate again with the knockup. It just doesn't matter at all because it was just all over from the get-go.
Yeah, and the support definitely picking up probably the most strongest MR item in the game very shortly, so he's able to basically tank everything under the sun coming out from Laboon, from AD Astra. And right now, Easy Doctor probably will need some sort of armor shred item eventually once completing the flicker blade, because right now he's probably doing negative damage to these tanks. So I think they should really try to dive their backline straight away, but Harzik's just able to pilot in and out of these fights really efficiently, able to get, you know, that meaningful damage down and not get caught up in any sort of danger whatsoever. But yeah, it's going to be a while before we see this Tristana wake up.
Oh, Laboon gets caught out here. Niedermama has the support on his head to follow him up. There's a big knockup here, and Fern's going to use it to take down Niedermama, but here comes the turnaround. Heatris and beautiful Durang CC training him, but another TP. We're turning him back onto the support, but here comes Johnny. He's here, and he's onto Easy Doctor, but it's not enough. They're going to play the fight very slow, but we see the Seraphine bring so much value to the control this team composition has, and the damage is just not there. Johnny's in the middle of four champions, laughing at them, and he's just running them down slowly but surely. He will take you down. He is an inevitable, and they win out on that fight.
Yeah, I gotta say, it looked pretty good just for a sliver of a moment for AD Asher, but as soon as the Seraphine and Cassante came online, just, you know, pretty much flexing their prowess from their front to back. Like you said, Blade, it's going to be really tough for them to contest this soul, and that's why they took that fight straight away. Junior Burgers, he's got flash. Will he be able to make this steal, even though he's down 2 levels? Oh, but the jungle's not there yet. They don't have control.
Happen, but yeah, they're basically buying time for Niedermama to be here, and he's going to be able to smite fight this. Is he gonna go for the flash play? No, and now they get an Ocean Soul. If you couldn't kill the tanks before, I don't know, man. It's pretty much lights out with that soul being secured. Even with just a 2k gold lead, you wouldn't think the game's that over. I think genuinely that was the worst case scenario, getting Ocean Soul for this disgustingly tanky front line. Already getting heals from Seraphine, but now passive heals from the Ocean Soul is just gonna be ridiculously hard to deal with. And yeah, the Easy Doctor's a long way from taking him down, but here we go. They're making something happen, trying to catch them while the team's on a reset, but they don't quite find the engage. Now Easy Doctor in a terrible spot gets CC'd up, taken down, and they're going to be running for the hills, and Baron's on the map too, and surely going to be the next prize for Warped that they're going to be looking at. Laboon tries something, but he's it's scary. The sort of support was looking at him, but looks like they're just going to turn right onto the Baron. No funny business here.
No funny business indeed. Eyes on the prize here, and unfortunately they don't have a way in, and they're going to get this Baron pretty much uncontested. ADA will have to push out these waves as far as possible and weather the storm, because Warp will get a couple of 1,000 gold coming out of this Baron power play. And Flicker Blade finally being picked up by the Tristana, but it's just taken too long to get there. And yeah, right now she's only tickling these tanks at the moment, Blade. It's sad to watch that Yasuo and Laboon are doing all the heavy lifting with Burger's initial engage.
Yeah, it's just very difficult. The Tristana, you know, you definitely want to be going towards this Flicker Blade, but it's just a little bit of a dip. You can't really rush the armor pen item as much as you need it this game here, but most likely going to be his next item. If they're able to buy enough time for that, maybe it's going to make a bit of a difference, but like we talked about here, just the Ocean Soul coming out, the Seraphine, it's just, even once you secure the armor penetration, it's just going to be still so difficult to take down these tanks. You could be a 6-item Tristana here, and it's going to be a rough time taking them down. Jonu here finds himself behind Easy Doctor. He's in a very difficult position against a Kasana who's going to ult him. Doesn't cancel it, doesn't even need it. It looks like the whole team's here. Easy Doctor's done his absolute best to get out, but is it enough? It goes in, has the reset, has his team, and Beautiful Dwayne's going to zone them with that ult. But here we go, Jonu in the front line. I want to see if they can scratch this man's armor, but looks like Warp aren't doing any funny business. Again, this team is so risk averse in the late game, it seems like. They like to do these early fights, you know, they'll flip some fights early game where, you know, there's not much on the line, but once it comes to these later game fights, you know, once the death timers creep up, once the objectives are on the map, they don't play games. They take the guaranteed plays, and then they will be out. They're not risking anything. Yeah, Foran. If he manages to win this, I don't know what I'll do, because it just looks statistically impossible, doesn't it, from the items in his inventory. But yeah, he did his absolute best, got taken down, and yeah, it's just about holding out here. But again, we're not too sure whether it's going to make too much of a difference.
Yeah, he did his whole combo and only took a quarter of Jonu's health bar, so definitely really rough on the side of AD Astra to actually come back in this game, and I can only imagine what would happen if the tanks decided to buy Warmonks or Spirit Visage. Just would be impossible to play against, but they're pretty much going to force the issue here. They're going to push down this bottom lane in a turret, and I don't think they can do much about it here. And we do have Galio in the mid lane, the support, doing what he does best, and he'll just press R when he needs to. And right now they're just knocking down on their base. Berg's forced to flash, does not spell shield in time, but they're not going to capitalize. They just want the inhibitor at the moment. They want to secure the second one, and I think that's going to be curtains for AD Astra. I don't think they'll be able to have enough time to scale and get back into this game. And it's just looking really strong at the moment. Jonu was able to isolate him. A big ultimate comes out of Foreign here, but he's just stuck in no man's land, forced to flash out, and 1v5, not much to do there. Unfortunately, Easy Doctor does get comboed by Jonu, but Jonu's able to not pick him up here. Kaiser's able to pick up Easy Doctor. We do have them knocking on the inner turrets here, but unfortunately, AD Astra have run out of health bars, and Laboon is the only one standing, watching his base fall. And that is going to be game 3. Warped sitting on the top of the ladder, and they're looking poised to be the strongest team in this composition, or are the strongest team in this competition so far.
Yep, team to beat for sure. This is the statement that they're making week in, week out here, with another decisive victory against AD Astra. There were signs of life there from the bot lane. Love to see that out of them, but again, they're just proven they're the team to beat, and they got the skills to show for it. But yeah, that is basically what you'd expect from the standings so far. AD Astra going to have to make their comeback into the season, but I have hope after watching that game. That was certainly signs of life, and if things went different on the top side, we could have seen a completely different game.
Yeah, and it's good to see AD Astra not just falling over. They're just trying to take the fight to Warped every time they get an opportunity to, which is really, really good to see. But I guess before this computer decides to kaput itself randomly, I guess we'll quickly talk about the SVP coming out for AD Astra. And I guess you could give it to 1 to 2 players, or potentially 3. But Laboon, Foreign, and Junior Burgers all have a case in this SVP award. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Junior Burgers had a pretty good redemption ult to set up that big turnaround fight, but I think that was his 15 minutes of fame there. After that, I think it was all Foran and Laboon finding a really good laning phase, putting the pressure on, finding basically a lot of the plays the rest of the game here. But just looking at the damage graph, you know, you don't normally see a Zara top in the damage graph for your team, and I feel like when you see that sort of statistic come through, you got to give credit where credit's due. If your sport's been able to pump out damage like that, he's definitely doing his job and then some, because he's providing the CCs, providing the slows with the Rylai's, getting 5-man knockups here, left, right, and center. I'm inclined to give it to Laboon, but certainly a good performance on Foran as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeant in there. Laboon definitely had a pop-off game, and that 5-man ultimate gave AD Astra a lifeline to come back into the game. So I'm inclined to agree. Laboon is the SVP for game 3 for tonight. And I guess we'll quickly go over the MVP. And I think they all have a strong case, but I feel like Jonu was just able to make a slightly stronger case, in my opinion. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Johnny basically single-handedly just ended the top side there with that lead against Button Nash. Just one small mistake, he turned it into an absolute canyon there. His team were around there, like Nita Mama, the support definitely were contributors towards that top side gap, but I think Jonu definitely did the heavy lifting in that regard, and we saw once it came to the team fights, he single-handedly won them out. He just sat in front of 4 champions. Anyone who came close, he CC'd them up, took them down, and was the cornerstone to their team fighting here. So I'm inclined to give it towards Jonu, but definitely honorable mentions towards Nidamama and the support of that game. And even Beautiful Duang had some nice ultimates as well.
Agreed. Yeah, and if you have $50,000, oh no, sorry, 50,000 worth of self-mitigated damage, I think that's a pretty successful top lane Cassante game, in my opinion. Just showing that the champion is still very meta, even if it was nerfed 50 times in a row. It's still very strong and just has a very broken kit, in my opinion. But congrats, Jonu, I suppose, on the MVP. Was able to be the front line and the cornerstone for his composition, but everyone played very well on the side of Warped, and they're showing us why they're the best team in the composition. And Karzik's making his first appearance as well, was able to, get those Dark Harvest stacks and pilot in and out of those fights really, really well, and tops out the damage charts for his team, showing us why he is the carry. So I guess we're going to end the stream there. Any closing remarks, Blade, for this?
No, I guess to close it out, we'll just have a quick geese over to the schedule and what we've got lined up for next week.
Oh, yeah.
Here, over in the standings, so we've just played round 5 then, coming into round 6, we're going to face off Chris, Alt F4 versus GPA.
Yeah.
JPA in game 1, so that will be an interesting one. Obviously, we are pretty close in the standings. You guys are one above us, I believe. So we're going to look to bring you down with us. We're going to get on our level a little bit here, add some losses to that record. But after that, we've got Warped versus Fish, which is another pretty exciting match coming into the season. I think people were looking at Fish to be a really strong roster. Struggle a little bit more than expected, but they definitely have that X factor in them always. Players like Charidus and C4J you can't count out, and we'll see what they can cook up to beat the current top dogs of the season. And finally, to wrap it all up, it's going to be AD Astra versus Destiny here. AD Astra, if they figure something out, versus especially weak-looking Destiny tonight, they definitely can make the upset happen there, and that will be a big win for them. But those are the 3 games lined up for next week, and we'll see what the teams can bring to the table.
Yeah, very spicy matchups, and a couple of teams looking for redemption, and a couple of teams trying to knock other teams off the current rankings. And I guess we're coming into the mid part of the season. I think we have another round after that before every team has faced each other just about. So get a good indication of, power rankings and all those things. So very exciting to watch, and I just want to thank all the viewers and the sponsors for making this competition possible. We wouldn't be able to do it without you guys watching and supporting the community. It's still going strong here in the NT, even though we all live in different parts of Australia. We're able to still come together and play together as a unit and just have fun overall. So in just closing remarks, the SVP and MVP awards will be given out just before the next round starts. So you'll just get a little mystery gift from me for both MVP and SVP. So keep an eye on that. I've already given out some a bit earlier today and yesterday. So stay in tune for that. And thanks for joining me, Blade. Much appreciated you coming in and shoutcasting the remaining games for tonight. And I guess we'll verse each other next week.